Dr. Jonathan Arthur Deverell Long, a passionate and the closest associate builder of the Fcmb Group plc, has passed on to glory in the early hours of Saturday, February 9th, 2019, after a slightly protracted illness at the age of 71 years. Until his retirement on the 11th of April 2018, he was the chairman of the board of directors of Fcmb Group plc. He had put in over 40 years of meritorious service in the group, where he was the closest associate of the founder. Dr. Long's association with Fcmb Group started with Citi Securities Limited, the foundation company of the group, in 1978 at the age of 29. Citi Securities Limited, a fledgling financial institution, had won a landmark mandate from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) to advise the NNPC on the restructuring of the corporation to enable her effectively fulfill its objectives to Nigeria. Appreciating the enormity of the assignment, Citi Securities Limited invited Charterhouse Jaffet, a British investment bank in London, to work with them on the restructuring of the NNPC. Jonathan came with a team of 3 members, of which he was the youngest, and quickly established a close relationship with the founder of CSL and Fcmb Group, Otumba Michael Olashubumi Balogun CON. The mandate was successfully executed by CSL with the support of Charterhouse Jaffet, the British investment bank.
The young fledgling companies, Citi Securities, succeeded in obtaining a merchant banking license, and there was a condition attached to it that we should look for a foreign technical partner, an international institution, to assist us in the running of the bank. Some other international banks in Nigeria had come in to set up institutions like that. Ours was the first to be set up single-handedly by a Nigerian who in fact was a lawyer before he got involved in banking. We went round the whole world, I would say UK, Europe, and New York. Many international institutions were not keen to come to Nigeria. The first name that came to my mind is this young man who had since become my very close friends. So I asked Jonathan, would you want to come and work in Nigeria? He hesitated initially. He was only just about 31. He wasn't married. And he said he would be thinking of it. 4 days later, a few days later, Jonathan rang me and said, Mike, I think I will give it a try. I would come...
From thinking about it?
Yeah. Yeah, I will give it a try. I will be working with a friend who had been so good to me. So I was a bit initially confused, thinking of the loyalty he had shown to me since we became friends.
Subsequently, and in the course of the founder's move to establish an investment bank, Jonathan and a number of associates at Charterhouse Jaffet, as well as the City of London, gave the founder tremendous support. This led to Jonathan's invitation to work for the new First City Merchant Bank, now First City Monument Bank, as an executive director and head of corporate finance. Jonathan rose through the ranks and in due course was appointed deputy managing director and then managing director. With the founder as chief executive officer, Jonathan was instrumental to the growth and development of the bank's investment banking as well as corporate banking.
He and some colleagues of mine, Mr. Jadesimi, who is now the chairman of the group, and another friend who was in Central Bank, were all scouting all over Europe and the US, and they did not succeed. So I said, I cannot let this young man down. For his good services and support, I will take him. So my wife and I invited Jonathan and Martin White for a dinner in London, where we settled that Martin White, being a senior banker about my age at that time, should be the managing director, chief operating officer, and that Jonathan should be executive director of corporate finance, his own then specialized area, and that I will still remain executive chairman and chief executive. So we had this this troika, yeah. So the three of us agreed, and we did what was necessary, and they moved to Nigeria.
In due course, when the holding company structure was adopted, Jonathan became the group managing director of the then First City Group, which was later transformed to Fcmb Group plc. On the retirement of the founder, Jonathan Long became the chairman of Fcmb Group plc, a position he held until March 8, 2018. He was also the vice chairman of Fcmb Capital Markets Limited.
I'm a man of the culture of excellence. I say so much of it. If I see any good in someone, whoever it is, it doesn't need to be my relation, I will give him the opportunity. So people in the market saw me, maybe some people said a colossus or anything, but they always knew that I always have somebody by my side, Jonathan Long. So when he fell ill, the Fcmb Group was fully involved, and he was away for nearly 2 years on sick leave. I hesitated to cut the umbilical cord, hoping that he will still be well and come back to his job. But when we had 1 or 2 annual general meetings and he couldn't show up, he himself decided that he would rather retire. And that was after 40 years of service.
During the course of his service with Fcmb, he was a director of Kakawa Discount House, a discount house set up by a group of commercial banks, where he represented the Fcmb. Prior to his distinguished career with the Fcmb Group, he had earlier worked with Williamson Glens Limited in London, Charterhouse Jaffet Limited in London, Charterhouse Swiss SA Geneva, and later on established the operations of Standard Chartered Bank in Geneva in Switzerland in 1982. Dr. Jonathan Long obtained a bachelor's degree in 1967 and a master's degree in 1970 from Balliol College, Oxford. He also obtained a doctorate degree in 1973 from St. Anthony's College, also at Oxford University in the United Kingdom. While on the board of the Fcmb, his invaluable contributions and wealth of experience, as well as absolute loyalty, aided the rapid and sustained growth of the group. His dedication to the board and his love of the Nigerian financial environment will forever be remembered and appreciated.
Jonathan, in due course, got married to a lady, Chantal, whom he brought to Nigeria to meet me, and at different times was showing up there. Then he also had a younger brother, a Dr. Marcus Long. For nearly 40 years, he was closer to the job he's doing in Nigeria than to those people. That is why he gave his life to Fcmb and was always in the forefront. In fact, it became my alternate at every given moment. When we were setting up it was also my alternate on the Council of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He was one of the people who built up the Nigerian Stock Exchange with me. When we set up the Institute of Chartered Stockbrokers, Jonathan was my alternate. As I started with, I have lost a personal friend. I have lost a highly professional colleague, a loyal, devoted, and accomplished banker, an intrepid personal friend who is not easily convinced by things that will not convince anybody. He is devoted. He is loyal. He is absolutely loyal, almost at the expense of his life. While he was sick, he had a major operation. He still managed to return to Nigeria, walk with walking stick and hobbling around. Yeah. Then, as I said somewhere else, apart from me, he is the longest serving staff of Fcmb Group among the professional this year. Why wouldn't I remember him? We don't treat us, we never treated ourselves as boss and this thing. Rather, he was the one always referring to me. He converted Nigeria just because of his loyalty to Fcmb Group. We cannot forget him. I'm writing something which will be part of the archives of Fcmb. And I'm also aware that Fcmb is doing something to immortalize his name. He is an exceptional foreign staff. I have lost a personal and bosom friend. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Jonathan Long's contributions to Fcmb Group spanned a period of 40 years, and he was involved in almost every aspect of our evolution, from the very beginning right up till the very end of his life. Beyond the things he did for Fcmb, which many people will talk about on the tribute night and maybe on this video, I think it's also important to remember that Jonathan contributed significantly to the development of the Nigerian economy. In the early days of his career, he was involved in working with CSL to restructure NNPC. Subsequently, over the years, Fcmb was a key player in the privatizations of many state-owned enterprises, and Jonathan led the advisory work that we did in privatization. And even with the very successful pension reform that we have seen in Nigeria, Jonathan Long was a key member of a committee that was set up by the then President Obasanjo to restructure Nigeria's pension industry. And he contributed his intellect significantly to that initiative. Many members of corporate Nigeria that have been great employers in this economy have benefited from his advice that has led to their growth. And therefore, I would say that Jonathan not only contributed to Fcmb, but to the economy of Nigeria as a whole. We will remember him fondly, and we should all look forward to seeing him again when we also cross to the other side.
There's nothing you can say to comfort someone that is mourning. But all I can say is God is the only one that comforts. God is the only one that speaks the word that one needs at that time when you are mourning. We only pray that the Lord will comfort them. We only pray that the balm of Gilead will heal their soul. And everywhere that, the departure of Dr. Long would affect them, the Lord will, in his own way, fill that space. Personally, I will miss Dr. Long. I will miss his sense of humor. I will miss those flowers and chocolates that I get from him. And at times I will miss those perfumes that Dr. Long will wrap whenever he travels to send to you. Dr. Long was not only my boss, I considered Dr. Long a friend, and I really miss Jonathan Long.
I don't care to be, the best investment banker in Nigeria. I don't care to be the most successful. I only care to be the most trusted investment advisor. Jonathan was my father's most trusted confidant and a trusted advisor, and he was an incredible, part of the history of, the Baloguns and Fcmb, and God rest his soul, and to Chantal and his family, his brother, may God console them at this time.
I had the unique privilege to work with Dr. Long for about 8 years, from 2000 till the end of December 2008. It was a period where I learned a lot. Dr. Long was a consummate investment banker, a thoroughbred professional. He was extremely passionate about investment banking. He was particularly passionate about Nigeria, which is why he spent so much time. And I think Nigeria ultimately became his adopted country. So my sense is that he will be certainly sorely missed. His contribution will remain. People will remember all he has done towards the development of not just investment banking, but I think the entire Nigerian financial services industry has benefited from his expertise and passion.
Dr. Jonathan, as I know him to be one of the pillars of the development of Fcmb Bank. He stood clearly for Chief Shubumi Balogun to ensure, even during the time of crisis, he took over the position. I'm referring to when the central bank crisis and all this and that came up with Shubumi Balogun. He stood and he represented him very well. In fact, sometimes at the AGM, I used to tout him that you are now in Nigeria and we'll find you a Nigerian woman to keep you perpetually in Nigeria. So that's how close we were. So Dr. Jonathan has done his own. We appreciate all that he has done in Nigeria, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
I will miss a lot of things because we were really very close, and like I said in my tribute to him, we started from the 13th floor of Mandela's house on Broad Street to the 10th floor of Primrose Tower, then now at the 7th floor of Four City Plaza. And his office is always next to mine, and I always go in, chat with him, and we have a very close relationship. In fact, a lot of people in the bank, if they want anything from him, they can't get it. They always come and meet me and said, if I talk to him, he will do something. I will say that he really contributed a lot. In fact, everybody in the bank, both old and present staff, know that Dr. Long is a workaholic, and he did everything he could to sustain the bank, and he believed in anything Fcmb and not Balogun. That God will console them, and at times like this, we just have to encourage ourselves that to think of the good lives, the good times we had with the disease, and as they all say, life continues.
You can be sure to go to bed with your 2 eyes closed, no problem. He valued his name and he valued his signature. He was a tension douser. If you had any issue, you brought it to Dr. Long. If you were shaking before you got into his office, first of all, he'll calm you down. And by the time you are coming out of his office, you are coming out with a smile. miss him, and I'll forever miss him.